Hey, tough and the out of this world story from Street Travel. There are ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back in Street Travel. I am your host Manir.
Boyfriend 32 male decided to raise my portion of the rent on me 24 female during a disagreement. I make less than him and work more days than he does. I really do love my boyfriend, but he is set in his ways. I have made many compromises to be with him. We live in the city where he has grown up. All of his friends and his entire family live here. My entire family and most of my friends live about 2,000 miles away. For a little background, I met him around 6 months ago and I was literally just passing through thinking of moving here. But he really wanted me to stay, so he offered me a pretty good deal to stay with him and pay a small portion of his rent. Our rent is about $900 a month, cheap for where we live. But he was swinging that easily before I came along. I pay $300 a month here. I know that is obviously way less than his $600 portion. But when we were starting out, I had not yet found a job in this city. I now have one and we split all other bills 50-50. Not only do I have one job, I have two. I also work at the bar he works at to help make ends meet. It is really stressful to work 12 p.m. for 5 days straight and then on my 2 days off work for his bar. I honestly cannot handle it. I have told him this, but when I do, he basically says I am lazy or have no work ethic or have obviously never had a real job. He insults me in this way a lot while he sits at home for 4 days out of his week. Yes, he gets 4 days off because his job is similar to that of a bartender. For the sake of his anonymity, let's just say he is a bartender. He makes a lot in a short amount of time on his weekends. He does work hard. He doesn't have an easy job for the most part, but his laziness is amazing. He teaches that our house isn't clean, as if I have any time or gumption left over after 2 jobs. On top of that, he is starting his own business and I am helping him with that anytime that I can. Today we got into a huge fight about how I am working for the bar. I have expressed that I can't handle that as a side job. It is too much for me and we really don't need to work together because it's bad for our relationship. He said, "Oh well, the rent is now $450. I am not against paying more rent, but I said percentage-wise it didn't make sense and he will have to do 50% of the chores." He got pissy and said F%. He was smart enough to get a job that paid more. He gets crazy and controlling like this sometimes and there is no reasoning with him. He used to be flexible but now he is not, and then said that I could just find another place to live. I said okay because when I first moved in, effing way too soon in our knowing each other, he said he wouldn't be offended if I found a place of my own and moved out, which I stupidly thought was still our deal. And then he screamed at me that if I leave, we are done. Might be good for me actually. I guess what I'm really wondering here is if anyone needs a roommate in Portland. Too long didn't read. A woman realizes halfway through writing the post that she needs an exit strategy rather than relationship advice. Well, OP, it's a good thing you're not asking about how to fix this relationship, because I don't think you would get any good advice on that. And regarding an exit strategy, the first thing I would do is find a place to stay. I don't know if you've got friends or maybe a nice coworker or someone that could help you out with a place to stay. Or who knows, since you were just visiting and you've been there for about 6 months, maybe you can just move away somewhere else. Up to you. And the other thing I would do is, I would give notice at the bar. I mean, I don't know if you've got a contract, but I would think you can just quit if not give a few weeks notice and that's about it. I don't know how you plan on breaking up, but just make sure that you take everything that you need to take, like your important documents and all that stuff, and then you just block him on your social media. Delete his email, block his email and his number, and you move on. And what is your opinion regarding this whole situation? How would your exit strategy be? Let me know in the comments section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. Wanfathy Rose says, he wants you to work full-time. You are working full-time with 2 jobs. If you drop one of your jobs, you will be working part-time. He doesn't want you to pay less rent. He wants you to pay more, so if you work part-time, then it doesn't work for him. Some men are not caregiver types. My husband is exactly the same. He wants me to pay half the rent when he makes 2 times more than I do. He is like this even though I do the cleaning, cooking, and work. My hiatus just happened this week and his response was to open a new bank account, take his money out, take $500 of my money, and proceed to pay all our bills with the remaining money I had left. I am divorcing him. This is the last straw for me. They don't change, by the way. Also, I don't know if this sounds familiar, but he often doubles up for his gifts or dinner. For our anniversary, my birthday and Valentine's Day are near each other, so I will be taken out sometimes for just one dinner or one trip, etc. His mom tells me his dad was just like that. They are divorced, and she got sick of the same crap. And OP responds, I kind of see him like this, but to be honest, in the beginning he was so giving and amazing, and it was totally just a front, I think. He threw a fit recently because I changed my hair in a way that he didn't like and refuses to ever let anyone who visits me to stay at our shared space. LOL. If I paid half the by-year visit from a friend who needs to stay 1 or 2 nights doesn't need to be a fight in my opinion. If he actually wanted me to stay, he wouldn't do this. He is currently begging me to come home and I just effing won't because he refuses to see himself as wrong ever. Maddie May says, I think you need to find a job so you can support yourself or get training once you find somewhere else. As long as someone has financial power over you, they have control and they can manipulate you and do what he just did. I would contact non-profits around there, or women in transition or domestic violence shelters to see if they know how to get low-income housing. Even check with the state assistance and emergency funds. It's definitely red flag written all over it. I would be calling non-profits and finding what help is available in the area. And OP responds, that's such a good idea. I assume I qualify for anything like that. Edit. I do support myself though, and did before him. A lot of my cash goes to his pocket, because he likes me splitting other expenses with him, like weed, which I am not even half the smoker he is, but agree to, so he doesn't get BT chai if I do decide to smoke with him a few times a week. That attractor says you need to make a 100% clean break when he's not around. He seems like he might lose his crap if he sees you with bags packed. Do you have any friends in the area you can rely on to help? If not, try r/Portland. If you draw a blank there, check out local shelters. If that doesn't work, consider giving notice at work secretly, playing nice for a few days, and arranging a parental rescue mission. Good luck. Reason he makes more is that he is an established 32-year-old and I am a 24-year-old with zero connections in this city and college debt, but that's a whole other thread. Whatever the case, this entire thing isn't about a woe is me. He's asking me to pay more rent and to make it 50-50. It is the way it was thrown into our argument to make sure I kept doing exactly what he wanted because he thinks that raising the rent equals me staying in his crappy job I don't want to do. I am not close to going half-seas on rent. I am not a freeloader. He just did this out of spite and to try and further control me. If he brought it up, not during a fight, I would hear it, but that's not what's going on. He also tries controlling how I use my food stamps because I effing qualify with the rent I'm already paying. He eats total garbage and I refuse to buy pizza with my few funds. He lets it rot in the fridge anyway while he orders out. He holds every little favor over my head as if he gave up so much for me and I just can't deal. He's definitely not someone evil who hits me or regularly calls me names. Just the last few weeks, and I recently took on an extra day at work to pay off some bills. That extra day is really rough because it's an especially busy and taxing one where I work. This has had me on a very tight and rough schedule, working around the clock. I really just wanted him to hear me when I said I can't handle the side gig and just have him meet me halfway with crap. Or if I'm to keep it, for him to just realize how much I am doing and please get the F off my back if I have some clothes on my side of the room when he has lived in filth all week while I'm trekking to and from work. When I first got here, he started charging me pretty much immediately, which is fine as I was living here. And then he got me this job at his work and I was super appreciative and grateful, but at the end of the day, it really benefited his own income. Whatever the case, the job was not enough to cover even my side of the rent. It was like grocery money for the two of us for a month at best. So I had to keep looking all while he kept a score of what I owed him on a whiteboard in our living room. Eventually, I asked him to move it to our bedroom. Now it is paid off, of course, but I did owe him money for a few months because of that, and I have been handing over all my tips every day until it was done. Update. Hi, this took effing forever, 3 whole months, because I kept talking myself out of leaving. During this time, I avoided updating because I think I knew deep down how effing stupid I was, afraid to leave while super unhappy. We had moments where I saw a glimmer of hope for us, but no, I should have left when I made that post. At that time, I also was communicating to him that I didn't like our lifestyle. A few weeks ago, he snooped on my Facebook. We have both done this toxic behavior. I am not claiming to be innocent here, and saw that I had contacted my mom for advice about leaving. He was extremely mad and said he had no idea I was unhappy. I'll spare you additional details and just tell you about the last blowout. So, one night I went out to a concert while he was at work and met some friends and had a few drinks. Nothing huge really. I just wanted time to myself as I had kept working with him and had zero alone time or quality time with him since he was also ignoring me. Long story short, the tension was growing, and that particular night I got home, but I had texted him when it was on 5% and said, "Hey, please don't worry about me. I will be home soon. I am okay. My phone is just dying. Have a great night at work." He usually got off around 3 a.m. anyway. As I am drifting to sleep around 2 a.m., I texted him a quick home safe goodnight type text, and the next thing I know, I woke up to him shaking and screaming at me around 2:45 a.m., questioning where I was all night, who I was with, accusing me of lying and yelling that I couldn't get my story straight. That's true, I was asleep. We have a huge blowout fight, enough to make our neighbors hate us. He threw a basket of my clothes on the floor and told me to get out while smashing my expensive Makeup Pro palettes against the bathroom tile. I work as a makeup artist for weddings on the side of my regular job. This really upset me, and I pushed him away from me and said, "I pay rent too. How are you mad at me right now and breaking my things?" He claimed he was worried about my safety all night, but I highly doubt that when he was claiming he would throw me in the street that night, despite the fact that we were splitting rent 50-50 even though I barely had anything in our space. I freak out because hey, I just learned I am homeless after he said "F you, you aren't on the lease, you BTCH. I wasn't nice either. I was effing angry about all that was happening, so I also hurled insults. Then, I got very worried about my new lack of housing. A threat that in my sleepy, very distraught head was legitimate. I did a very embarrassing thing. I posted on Facebook something like, "I am being kicked out and I need help." This person said they loved me and we split rent. Yet I am about to seriously need a place to stay. We sleep for 2 hours. Our house is wrecked from us throwing each other's crap around, and there are bruises on both of us from pushing each other, and I slapped him. Yes, I was violent, something I have never done to anyone. There are zero excuses for it. I was enraged that I had just paid 2 months' rent and was going to be homeless, and he was screaming at me and breaking my things. The exhaustion and all of that are still not an excuse. I am really ashamed of it. But the bruises were mainly me falling down after I slipped on some clothes I was trying to keep him from destroying. I show up to work looking like total crap, having had little sleep. My co-workers are like, "What the F? Are you okay?" I can barely keep it together for the 3 hours I was there, all while he is texting me that he is going to throw all my belongings outside. He and his sister are going to make a great free pile of everything I own. I explained to my manager that things are not okay at home and I need to leave. She is so understanding and allows me to leave. I go straight home and his ass is asleep. He said all that crap just to F with me. I am furious and refuse to let him sleep as he refused to let me sleep before work. He swears he never intended on actually kicking me out and starts crying that I have ruined his reputation with my post. I agreed that my post was embarrassing for the both of us, but I still need a place to live. He thought I would have changed my mind and stayed after all that crap. And I said no, I am definitely leaving. I have to. There is no way we can live together when I hate who I became in our relationship. I paid this month's rent already, so I said my things need to stay here and be respected as I have paid rent and won't be staying here. An amazing mutual friend saw my frantic and very embarrassing post. She needed a dog sitter while she was out of town, and I graciously accepted the offer. Her apartment is amazing and she is letting me stay here for free. She's even hooking me up with extra work opportunities after I had to quit the job where I worked with him, with 2 weeks and a promise of a positive reference from my boss. I had about 2 horrible, debilitating days of anxiety where I thought I was going to be fired after the terrible day at work and thought I was such a mess and I couldn't go on. I now feel way better, super relieved actually, now that I have officially ended it and gotten away from him. He has been civil over text the few times we needed to talk about work things while I was finishing up my 2 weeks, and also reminded him to flea treat the cat today as I still care about our cat that I will never see again. I have another week of house sitting and a lot of options for where to live next, as I have been saving money like crazy for a deposit and spending only on food and transportation to my jobs. One spot looks super promising and I am very hopeful. Well, OP, I think it's safe to say that you guys are not compatible, and that in the grand scheme of things, maybe you both dodged a bullet on this one. Final update. When I left off last time, I was housed and pet sitting for a few people while working at the receptionist job I didn't like or make much at. Pretty much homeless, searching for a place to live and being a nervous wreck. Luckily, a friend of a friend needed a roommate pretty far away from my jobs, but a really nice area and cheap, with nice ladies around my age as roommates. I jumped at the opportunity and moved in a little over 2 weeks ago. I had a lot of money saved up from working so many jobs. I knew I would need to save every penny, and since my rent is so cheap, I got all new stuff for my room. I also very conveniently landed a better job on this side of town thanks to this platform. I found the posting in a Portland job thread, and it's a full-time position where I make more money doing something I actually feel fulfilled doing. This job wouldn't ever have worked out if I was with my ex, because it wouldn't have fit his schedule. Turns out, I am content working 9-5-ish and getting up early and having evenings to relax. I feel all around way better. We did have one more blowout about a week after my last post when he refused to give back any of my rent, and threw all my remaining things into garbage bags. Of course, it happened on a morning when he knew I had to work. I wasn't allowed to bring anyone to help me pack, but his sister was there to witness our fight, so I guess his stupid rules only applied to me. I was beyond pissed when he also didn't give back a bunch of my furniture. I knew it would probably be that way, but I was so exhausted from shuffling around and trying to get my stuff together, I couldn't even argue anymore. He made sure to laugh in my face and let me know he had a new, way more loving relationship. This was about 2 weeks after I moved out. Okay, dude. A few days ago, after we've been no contact for almost a whole month, he says I have some mail I need to come to pick up. So I go get it, and it makes me really sad just to see my cat for the last time. To see where we spent a lot of time together, some of which was happy. He didn't say sorry, but he wasn't in a hole, and he gave me back a little ottoman I really liked that was mine and offered to take me to my new place. I was really shocked by the gesture and said thanks. I guess the time and space have sort of made him less angry about it. I still feel pretty disrespected, but I really appreciated the ride. Even if he technically owes me $400+, I know he will never admit that or say sorry. He was also a nickel and dimer, so why would he change now that we're not even together? As for what I am doing now, focusing on work. So much. I enjoy my work, but it's a challenging field and I am learning a lot, getting used to a totally new schedule and lifestyle. I'm figuring out what's here on my new side of town, where I live, since I was tucked in a little corner of my city until recently, working too many hours to really ever chill. I have to get my wisdom teeth out next week and I am super dreading it. But overall, life is way better for me and I am so grateful for my new place, job, and life. I feel way more balanced and happy to be me. Things aren't perfect, but a weight has been lifted. I love having my own space, I am seeing someone casually who lives in my neighborhood. We've been on like 4 dates. Nothing serious there, but he's good company. I've made about 1 million new friends and have lost a bit of weight since moving on. No more junk food and soda in the house to tempt me. Well, OP, I'm gonna count this as a positive and happy update. You got out of a toxic relationship with a crappy boyfriend that didn't bring out the best in you, and you are now in a way better position in your life. So congratulations on everything that you've gone through in this journey.